Hi everyone, this is me, Dilnaz, and this is my vlog from our trip to Croatia for Juhannus, which is midsummer, a national holiday in Finland, and we went there for 48 hours or just for the weekends. We arrived to Helsinki airport at 7:43. The morning was super early, but we arrived a little bit ahead of time to the airport because we didn't know if our train is going to be late or no. I loved Helsinki airport for all the facilities that they have for people and how clean it is and how simple it is. All the signs are first in English and then in other languages. While Jere is trying to lift himself, I'll tell that train tickets from Tampere to Helsinki airport were around 10 euros. If anyone is collecting Starbucks mugs from different countries and cities, there's one in Helsinki airport. So as I said, we arrived a couple of hours earlier to the airport. That's why we were sitting and waiting for our flight. But instead of just scrolling through our phones, we decided to play some paper game. Awesome thing is that you can drink tap water from Helsinki airport. Then we went through the security check into the departures area. There were a lot of different shops, Finnish designs, some of the local products. Everything is super beautiful. I would say pretty authentic and not similar to anything that I have seen back at home in Kazakhstan or when traveling to different places. Something very unique and maybe not as common in normal Finnish life, but this arkioski is pretty common. We were almost late.
Yeah, we almost missed the plane.
Just arrived. It's like sauna.
It's too hot. It's too hot.
When leaving Finland, it was plus 20 degrees Celsius, and then in Zadar, it was plus 30. And it was expected to be even 35 degrees during the day. So we felt like we went to sauna, which is surrounding us everywhere. Then on a taxi, we decided to get a ride to the old town where we rented our Airbnb, and the taxi ride costed us 12 euros from airport to the city. And during the ride near the seashore, there were a lot of small boats and yachts and cars, and people were just enjoying their lives. Then we arrived to the old town, closer to 1, and it was very beautiful even though it was cloudy, but I was happy for it because the sun was not blurring my eyes. Tuna burger and some black codfish risotto. Our Airbnb was definitely different from what we expected, even though I don't know what we expected. This door is going outside. The location of our Airbnb was perfect. It was in 15-minute walking proximity from any location that we wanted to go to. However, walking to the beach took around 20 minutes from us, and it was a rocky beach, so I would advise to take a boat to another island for a sandy one.
Here we are on the beach.
The beach was full of rocks. In order to get to a sandy beach, we would have needed to take a boat to another island, but because of the limited time, we were just staying there, and we moved a little bit further to the area where more people were swimming. But because I don't know how to swim, we didn't really swim there, just stood in the water and then decided to go back home before I get burned completely. And then I was walking in a towel through the old town of Zadar. We got an ice cream for 2.5 euros, which is not much, but it was not the best ice cream that we tried in Zadar. Later you'll see a better one. What happens every trip? We buy 6 liters of water because you can't drink sink water. The city of Zadar is the oldest continuously inhabited cities in Croatia. The construction of the urban aspects was starting from 3rd century, and the inland was developed during medieval times. Here's the People's Square, where you can see leftovers of construction from the 3rd century, and the round church was built in the 9th century. So most of the ancient constructions were built near the seashore, and the inland was during the medieval times, like these churches. They were built in 13th to 15th century. Even if it was a really cloudy day, we have still seen a lot of locals spending their time on the seashore. Some people were sunbathing, swimming, or just spending time with their kids and family. From what I have read, Croatian people are really loyal and family-oriented, and that can be also seen as loyalty to their nationhood and folklore. And actually, Zadar was an important Renaissance center between 15th and 17th century, and they produced a lot of architects, sculptors, painters, and still to nowadays, poetry, music, and literature are really important to their culture. We were so hungry and we had high hopes for this place because someone said that those were tastiest burgers ever, but for some reason the meat was like rubber in our burgers and we didn't like it at all. But food was nice. Second day started pretty early. We woke up at 6:35 and now it's 7:15 or 7:20 and we're standing and waiting for the bus to come and take us to the national park, Plit Lakes or Plit Lakes, I don't know how to say it. We decided to book a guided bus tour to Plit Lakes, and it costed 90 euros on the website, but then when we went to the bus we needed to pay 48 euros more because 90 was just for the transfer and for the guide, and then 48 euros were for the entrance tickets to the area of the national park. But the money was worth it because the landscapes that we saw and the waterfalls and lakes were so beautiful. I still think this is one of the most beautiful places that I have ever been to. And actually, if you're visiting Croatia, I would definitely recommend you to go to national parks because it's not the only one. There is also Krka National Park, where my boyfriend was with his family earlier. Unfortunately, I haven't been there, but if I'm in Croatia next time, I'll definitely go there. Another thing you could do is to visit many islands that are located near big cities of Croatia. But here we are in Plit Lakes National Park. We started our tour called H Tour from walking to the bus station. It was called a train ride, but it's actually a bus with different carriages. And the ride was really interesting because it had a lot of turns and it looked like we're going through a serpentine upwards. And I was thinking what would happen if we accidentally brake with the carriage into the hills. But everything went well, so we reached our destination with the toilets and some snacks. And the guide was explaining how we're going to walk around the national park and what kind of lakes we're going to see. And then Nikola Tesla was born 50 kilometers from here. I have never known about it. So today we arrived to Plit Lakes National Park. It was 2 hours drive from Zadar and it's such a beautiful place. So there will be some videos from there. Honestly, the area was so beautiful. We started from seeing a crystal clear water and 16 more lakes were ahead of us. The whole tour was 8 kilometers, but we needed to walk only 6 of them. And then the bus ride was some distance. And then we had also a boat ride from point 2 to point 3. The water was everywhere and we were so lucky because there were absolutely no mosquitoes during the whole hike. I was so happy for that. And because the trees were surrounding us during every walking space, we were not burning too much, but the sun was hitting pretty strongly. And we were stopping almost every 5 minutes just because there were so many beautiful places and I wanted to take pictures and videos of everything to share it with you and to share it with my family as well. And the tour was not like we needed to walk all the time together. we could walk at our own pace, and there were some of the checkpoints where we were meeting, and after we left from the bus ride we could walk on our own pace towards the boat station, and from the next checkpoint we could have a break to eat, to go to the bathroom, and then we were meeting at 3 p.m. to leave from that place to our bus back home, because we were not following the route H anymore from that place, but you will see how we ended up bumping into the big waterfall and then going back to the area. But yeah, there was a lot of trees and roots up the ground, not under the ground, and trees were growing into very different directions because of the terrain of the area, and the waterfalls were absolutely stunning. From what we read from the internet, there were more than 80 waterfalls in that national park, but of course we visited not everything from there, and this was one of the best spots that I found for myself because of the refreshing water, and the dog was really cute. So this waterfall was one of my favorites, but there were also other smaller waterfalls, bigger waterfalls on our way. The national park claims to be clean and pure because for over 100 years it has been protected, and they don't allow people to swim in the lakes, to dip their feet there, or to feed dogs or fish that live in that area. So we went on a boat to the next checkpoint, which also kind of doesn't make sense because boats produce some of the emissions into the water and they can leak some of the fuel, but I won't go into details, of course. So we stopped at the next checkpoint, and there we had around 40 minutes to have a break. We went to buy sandwiches for ourselves. They were around €6 if I remember correctly. And there was a big picnic area for people, but of course all the places under the shadows were taken and places under the sun were empty. So after that we started our way to the bus that brings us back to Zadar, and the walk from there was only 40 minutes long. I was so tired at that point, and the sun was burning my hair because my hair is black and attracts sun rays, but we were walking strong with Jere and we were seeing beautiful places. But still, I would say that in the beginning, because all of the emotions that we had, it felt kind of more impressive than later. But apparently the water here is more turquoise and more bright because of some of the sediments that are in the lake, and they're different from the sediments that were before our boat ride.
How do you feel?
Tired.
It's been a long day.
It's been a long day, but we're going to witness the big waterfall soon. So I'm excited.
Let's go.
To be honest, I was kind of disappointed by the big waterfall. Of course, it's like 80 meters high, but the width of it was really small. What tour guide said is when our grandchildren are going to come there, they are going to witness a huge waterfall, so it increases with the years. After the tour, the guide sent us recommendations of places in Zadar, and based on that, we decided to go for a pizza place, which was literally 4 minutes away from our home, and that was a great decision. Jere is trying smoked watermelon with prosciutto and burrata.
Looks suspicious. I'll give it a chance.
What do you say?
It's actually really good.
Bon appetit.
Like when?
There was a sea organ which worked because the waves were colliding with the construction underwater and they produced sounds on the dock. How do you feel?
Great. We are here in the sunset place, and there is this feeding the sun place. It's basically this corner, but it's not visible yet.
The checkout from our Airbnb was already at 10 a.m, so at 10:20 we decided to grab a coffee from a local coffee place, which was just 2 minutes away from our Airbnb. Can't say anything good or bad about it, it was pretty good coffee. And then we decided to go and find some souvenirs, maybe some magnets from Zadar to bring back home. We were walking around the old town and it felt kind of familiar already because most of the places we have seen before. But if you want to grab a tour around the old town with the guide who explains all the history of places, I think it would be really worth it and really interesting. And also you can look through different museums that are there. So for example, National Museum, Museum of Glass or Dino Park. Actually, now I became curious, how does the other part of the city, like business center of Zadar, look like? If you know, let me know in the comments. Last hours in Zadar.
Yeah, it's pretty warm.
I am still amazed by all the ancient construction in Zadar, and also it's a great place to visit because there are not many tourists compared to Split or Dubrovnik. Ice cream, kippis.
How would you rate Kinder ice cream?
10 out of 10. Actually, there were so many ice cream shops everywhere around Old Town, so you can get it anywhere. We didn't have a proper plan for exploring the city, so we went to different souvenir shops, and Christmas shop was definitely something interesting, so if you collect Christmas bubbles, it's the place to go. And I would recommend to buy souvenirs from DIY and handmade places because other souvenirs were super regular and not stylish enough. But after that, we decided to explore the local park area, which is outside of the old town, and it seemed pretty normal to me, quite green. I agree with that. And then we saw some interesting symbols, which are like from Game of Thrones. And the parking lot seemed so industrial and modernized compared to the old town and medieval constructions there. So this was our way to the best rated restaurant in Zadar, which is called Butler. It was opening at 1 p.m. and we were waiting until that time because we wanted to get some real good food experience from there, and it was totally worth it. The interior design was really welcoming and beautiful, and I would say during sunset time it's even more beautiful. There was another group of 15 people of tourists which were at the same place as us, but we got our food earlier, and I ordered some dry-aged steak on top of the pasta with truffles, and Yara ordered some ribeye steak, and it was absolutely delicious. Then we went on a taxi back to the airport, and actually it costed twice as much as the taxi from airport to the old town. It was 24 euros. Then we were in overcrowded airport of Zadar, going to our plane to Helsinki, and it was a really good trip in my opinion. I would rate it as 7 out of 10. After first day and bad food, I thought it would be 3 out of 10, but luckily the trip got recovered because of the national park and amazing food that we had. But thank you so much for spending this time with me, and see you in the next video. Bye!